What is your expertise and how is it connected to your calling, God's calling for you? And what happens when this calling doesn't seem to be related to what you've studied or even what you have a degree in? Wow, these are such big questions. And today I've got three things that we're going to look at that will help you really to evaluate how your expertise is perfect for what God is calling you to do right now in your business. In fact, your expertise will give you a way to stand out in your industry and attract your ideal clients. This is DeneenTB, your Christian business growth strategist and clarity coach, helping you go from too many ideas to the right ideas for your business. Join me. Hey there, thanks for joining me today. And we're going to get straight away into the three things that we're going to talk about for you to evaluate how your expertise is exactly what you need to do the job, the business that God's asking you to do right now. So the first thing I want you to think about is to think about, what is God asking you to do right now? What is that kind of pull on your heart to do? You know, a business means that you are solving a problem. And I bet that you have seen a problem out there that you think, I could do something really great to solve this problem, something very creative, something different, a particular way to solve the problem that other people really haven't been doing, thinking of a way that no one else can think of. When I became a coach for Christian business women, I'd been listening to them for such a long time because I was running a networking group and I had mastermind times where we would break into small groups and each woman would get to put her challenge in front of her small group and get help, get solutions. So I heard over and over again things like FOMO, fear of missing out. I heard things about imposter syndrome. Well, from my teaching experience, which is an expertise for me, it gave me my first insights into how I could use that expertise to help them. You see, in my teaching career, I loved using personality profiling. I had learned all about it in my last year of college, and I had studied it ever since because it was something that just totally fascinated me. I used it with learning styles and then these personality techniques. I actually used them in my classroom. I used them to create lessons. I used them to encourage my learners, my students in the classroom. So I transferred that expertise into listening to the women that I had in my networking group. And I saw right away that they needed to see how God had equipped them to do what he was asking them to do. They needed a way to really see themselves the way that God saw them. And no one else was doing this. Another area that I love, that's another kind of expertise for me, is curriculum development. Nerd. I know, you can call me a nerd. That's totally fine. You know, I get a real kick out of just creating something new. My Calling Clarity program exists to solve the problem of Christian business women, the ones that they have, to really value themselves and honor their calling into business. Now, I know that creating new things and implementing them is definitely a challenge. And when you have this vision to solve something in a way that no one else has tried before, you have that inside of you because that was what you were created to do and the way you were created to do this. Okay, so let's think through this. I hope you are taking notes. It's always a good job to write things down. So think through this. So the first thing I want you to write down is the problem that you are seeing that you really want to solve. And then I want you to write out the way that you want to solve it. Make sure that you do your research and you see how you are really approaching this differently than anyone else. You want to look and see what's already in the market. The second thing I want you to write out is I want you to write out the expertise that you have that's related, whether it's directly related or indirectly related to what you want to solve. Maybe I sparked something in you. Remember, an expertise does not have to mean that you have a degree in it or that you got a certificate of some kind. Actually, an expertise are those things that you've done repeatedly over and over and over again that you've become an expert at doing. So the question is, what is God telling you right now to create so that it solves a problem in a unique way? What did you write down? How can you use your expertise to bring it in to be a part of it? Let me know down in the comments, what did you write down? What idea came immediately to your mind? Now we're on to the second thing. What is God asking you to do right now? What is the pull on your heart? You know, many times when we are following our calling, we do feel that we are just unequipped to do it. But God has equipped you with everything that you need to get started. So he's really asking you, do you trust me enough to take the first step? I remember getting ready to start my networking group for Christian businesswomen. I had been selling Christian products, and I decided as a total marketing strategy that Christian businesswomen would be my ideal clients. So you could say I niched down, right? Now, God was placing this opportunity in front of me to start the networking group, and it felt huge. It was like standing on the edge of the great Grand Canyon. It was horrible. It was this big expanse in front of me, and I felt like I was going to just hurl myself off into this vast expanse. But I didn't do that. I actually just took the first step off of the edge of what I thought was the edge. And you know what? God raised that stepping stone right up for me, and I stood firm. What expertise did I rely on to get started? Well, I'll tell you. I relied on my drama expertise. Remember, your expertise is not necessarily something that you have a degree in or a certificate in. Now, I have extensive drama experience from years of performing throughout all of my schooling and even into college. I also wrote and I directed productions for my church, and these were performances that 10,000 people saw. I was also a director for local community theater, so a lot of expertise. And when I think through what God called me to do in my business, I see this drama expertise coming through. It started with being able to organize the group, create the agenda for each of the meetings, and work with my ideal clients. At that time, by selling them the products that I have. But now I have grown into this business strategist, this clarity coach who really thrives on stage by giving motivational talks. I am very comfortable taking people through a process, whether it's a workshop, a small setting, in a lecture hall, or even in a big auditorium. My drama, it really gives me confidence. It gives me presence. It gives me the ability to show up uniquely. Now, I also like to do things with my audience so that they can have fun too. So we're going to write this out, the next thing that I'm going to ask you to write out so that you can have a little bit of fun too and remember what we're doing. So write out this for yourself. The first thing, what is the first step that you can take to get started? One that tells God that you trust him. Write that out. What is just the first step? And the second thing I want you to think about and I want you to write down is, what expertise can you use to just take this first step with confidence? Did I spark something in you? Something that you know how to do really well, but maybe you've forgotten about it. Let me know down in the comments what sparked for you. Okay, we are on to the third thing. The question is, what is God asking you to do now? What is the pull on your heart? You may not feel ready to do it. You actually might be feeling some resistance. Now, we know that God always wants us to get outside of our comfort zone so that we really have to rely on him. He wants us in that position of always relying on him because he wants to grow you. And he wants to grow you through your business. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner, we need to learn more and more. We have to have that learner mentality because it's really necessary because we just don't know what we don't know, right? And because we are believers, God is always transforming us more into the image of his son, Jesus. Part of this resistance for me was that I needed to learn a lot about business. I realized first, I loved Christian businesswomen. I loved the way their minds work, and I got along really well with them. But I didn't have the business background. Remember, I'm in education. I'm a teacher. I worked with a branding coach shortly after starting my networking group. God was growing me into the next thing. You know, if I had seen that entire path laid out in front of me, I would not have just felt the resistance. I actually probably would have run the other way. God always just knows how much to just show us each step of the way so that we totally rely on him. Now, I have to admit, for a while, I was trying to do it my way, teaching something that was comfortable for me because that was what I knew how to do. So when I first began shifting into this coach realm, I began by running workshops on various topics, and I taught individuals. I did things like how to set up your social media, get on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all these types of things for your business. I used my knowledge about DISC for better communication and taught that. I also started workshops on different techniques of prayer and journaling and those types of things. In working with my branding coach, I discovered I really felt called to help Christian businesswomen connect their faith and their business and use their businesses to serve God while serving their clients. The expertise I pulled from in this part of my calling was my knowledge and my study of the Bible. Now, though I have a teaching degree, I studied more Bible in college than most because I did go to a Christian college. I also had been a student of the Bible throughout all of my schooling through what is called quizzing. It's the study of the Bible and then you compete against other churches and other places. You might not have had that, but that's what I did as a teenager. But for me, the knowledge of the Bible and the application, we know, are two separate things. And God asked me to apply his word in a unique way to my target audience, Christian businesswomen, and how they could really connect their faith and their business. So creating a business focus around the Bible was truly unique, and showing others what God wanted them to do with their business is really an honor to me. It's a little bit scary too. So I can still feel that resistance sometimes, but that's totally okay because you know what? God is growing me every single day. So now it's your turn. I want you to get out that paper again. I want you to jot down a couple of things that I'm going to ask you to write out. The first thing that I want you to think through and write out is, what resistance are you feeling? What is God asking you to do that is really out of your comfort zone? What is it? He'll help you with it, I promise. And the second thing I want you to write out is, what expertise can you connect to help you see a solution and then move against the resistance? I hope that this has given you some inspiration. So where does most of that resistance come from? Your resistance. Is your resistance more an internal type of thing, like getting out of your comfort zone, or is it actually an external resistance? Maybe it's about the people in your life that are questioning whether you can actually do this business or not. Let me know down in the comments what kind of resistance you have. Do you have something that's more internal or external? So for today, I hope and pray that I have given you just a little bit more insight in how your expertise is really connected to your calling. God's calling for you. God's calling in business. You know, God has given you a problem to solve in a very unique way, and He has equipped you with exactly what you need to get started. And He has provided help to grow you in ways you cannot even imagine. I would love to be on this adventure with you. Let's have a chat about the things that God has put on your heart. And let's talk about how calling clarity will help you really step into what God has put on your heart. Click down in the description. You'll see the link. Make your appointment. I would love to have that clarity conversation with you. Now, make sure today that you've answered the questions. Like the video, put something in the comments, subscribe, and make sure to share. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.